Today I'm going to try to improve the terrain that I've got in this box for my upcoming 40k tournament, and it's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. I'm not quite sure what this video is going to be. I think it's going to be a bit of a vlog. So I've got a 40k tournament coming up, the Dominion War. It's just a small tournament at my place. We're going to have 10 YouTubers competing it out with a 1,000 point detachment. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to have 4 tables. I've got 2 of the tables already sorted, and those are going to have 2 different sets of Necron terrain on, of course, my terrain. And the other terrain is going to be the 2 sets of terrain in this box, which was donated for the tournament by CM Wargames, of course, my gaming buddy, which you've seen this terrain on my channel before anyway. However, Richard has given me the authority to spruce this terrain up a little bit to make it maybe a bit nicer for the event. So yeah, that's what this video is going to be about. Now, my event is sponsored. It's sponsored by Innovative Tinkering, the awesome dice company. I'm sure you've seen my metal Necron dice on the channel before, and they are sponsoring the event, and they've given me a discount code as well, just IDICBeer. When you order your dice, you'll get 30% off of the dice, so that's pretty awesome. Thank you, Innovative Tinkering. We've also got the event sponsored by Battleboards Store. That's the company that's actually made some of my custom Necron terrain, and they are available to make your own custom terrain on Facebook. So there's a link to both of those sponsors in the description below, should you be interested. So for reference, we are using the Games Workshop Grand Tournament mission pack for the terrain. So we're going to use their map, and each table will have exactly the same terrain layout. So that's the idea, and I'll have the actual map and all of the details of the benefits of each terrain piece next to the table on each individual table, so that everyone knows exactly what the terrain is supposed to be. Right, let's get on and spruce up this terrain. First, we'll have a look at what we've got and maybe some of the ideas that I'm thinking about to spruce it up. Okay, so this is the box of terrain, and we've got 2 sets of terrain here. We've got the red terrain, which is basically the orc set of terrain, and then we've got some buildings. The buildings have a couple of different building sets in there, so we're going to see if we can spruce them up a bit. To be fair, this is the set which doesn't need so much work. I mean, there's this piece here, which is, you know, nice enough by itself. There is a little bit of damage. You can see the pink styrofoam stuff coming through, so I'm going to paint that over just to hide it. I may not necessarily have the correct grey, so if that is the case, then I may have to do some battle damage to it to hide the cover-up job. So there's a couple of pieces of those which do again have this little damage too. And then we've got these buildings, which I think are the Games Workshop ones, which are nice enough. You know, these are fine. You know, the details, no trouble at all. I mean, potentially I could do a little bit of weathering, maybe on some of the sort of edges, some of the breakages, if I wanted to, and I might do that, but it depends how much time I get. I've only got today and then 1 more day off before the tournament, so we'll see what time I get, but those are okay. The main work is going to be on this piece here. I've actually got 2 of these. These are MDF buildings, and at the moment they're just painted grey, and we have a bit of damage. Potentially this could have been done in this box on the way here, so if so, sorry about that, Richard. But yeah, obviously I need to cover this up, so again, paint it grey. I'm not sure I've got this exact grey, but paint it, maybe do some battle damage as well, just to spruce it up. I could potentially try to add another colour in there. I'm not really sure I need to do that, but I'll see how it goes. But there's 2 pieces of these to spruce up. And then the main work is going to be on the red set of terrain, which is an MDF set. And at the moment, I mean, it looks pretty cool, but it is basically just painted red. So I want to add a bit more detail. We've got some ladders, which I might paint potentially brown, because the other section of this terrain is in here. The Badlands Tours, which we use this for the dense cover, 4 pieces of dense cover, so I might bring this brown colour into this piece of terrain. As I said, maybe paint the ladders brown, or we've got this section here on the top. Might bring some silver into it. There's quite a lot of detail. I'm not going to sort of paint every single detail, but just bring some extra colours to it. And if needed, I might have to weather the extra colours because the red looks quite weathered as it is. So that's the plan. There's obviously quite a few pieces of these. So again, this one's got a ladder on it. So just add a little bit more detail really. So that is the plan, that's the task. Let's see how I get on. Okay, so the first set of terrain is done and I'm really happy how it looks. It actually only took me an hour to do this, even though I did a lot more work than I thought I was going to do. So I started off just by filling in the pink foam area. I used Ishin Grey, which actually was quite a good match for the grey. I then went to work on the MDF pieces. I actually used the Ishin Grey because I thought it worked so well on the other pieces. And I started touching up all the wood areas, and to be fair, there was quite a lot on this piece. I think the undercoat had sort of not got into all of the grooves, so I started touching them up. I also painted on the inside of the windows where it was quite wooden, and I thought that just gives the windows a bit of extra depth. Anyway, once that was done, I dry brushed the whole thing with a light grey. So starting with Scorched Earth, I just dry brushed all of the broken pieces of the terrain, and I did some stippling on some of the walls as well, just to try and get those to look a little bit weathered and different. And then I did over the top of that Scorched Earth, again another dry brush. The doors themselves, I tried to dry brush them brown, but in the end it didn't quite work out that well, so I ended up painting them brown, and then I did a wash of Earthshade, Agrath's Earthshade over the top, just to give the doors a different look, because I just felt they needed it for the piece of terrain. So that was pretty much that piece of terrain finished. I did one gentle dry brush over the top of everything with grey again, just to finish it off. And then once I'd done that, I looked at the other pieces of terrain, and I felt, even though they look very good, that they didn't quite match the board, and that I'd have to do a bit of weathering on them as well, just to match them in with all of the other pieces. So I did that. I basically dry brushed all of the two browns over all of the broken sections on both of the foam board pieces, and also these pieces here, which were all pre-painted. And I did that on the pipes and stuff as well. Bringing those two colours into all of the damaged sections of the pieces just brings them all together, and here they are all finished together. Obviously the desk is very messy, I need to tidy it up. I've only just finished painting, but as you can see, all the pieces, even though there's three different pieces in terms of the paint schemes, they all come together and look as if they were actually on the same battlefield with the weathering. So pretty easy, just basically bringing everything together with some weathering, and that was that set of terrain all done. So now I need to work on the orc terrain. Okay, so the orc terrain is done, and it took me about 2.5 hours to complete. So first of all, I noticed there was quite a bit of actual bare wood showing through the red, so I decided to try and touch that up first, and I used some dark brown for that because a lot of the misses were already brown anyway. However, I quickly realised there was a lot of bare wood on these pieces, and I thought I would be here forever trying to fill in all the brown. So I quickly abandoned that idea and cracked on with adding the extra detail to the pieces. So I started with silver, and I painted all of the chains on the pieces silver. It's a reasonable amount of chains, but I just put the silver paint on. I wasn't too worried about going too thick, or even indeed sort of totally covering the piece, because I knew that this was going to be quite a down and dirty finish. So I painted the silver chains, and then I went in and I just added a few more patches of silver around the miniatures, just to give me a little bit of silver running through each piece. Once that was done, I got some dark brown and I started to paint the ladders brown, because that was always my vision. painted the ladders brown, and then just like with the silver colour, I added a few patches of brown throughout all of the miniatures. While I was painting the brown, I was thinking to myself, I probably want to introduce another colour, so that's actually what I did. I got some green and I started to paint some of the areas green as well, so I had a nice mixture of the red, the green, the silver and the brown, and I tried to make sure that no matter which side of the building you viewed it from, you would see all of these colours. Now I still had the issue of the bare wood showing through, and I thought I would solve this issue by giving the whole of the piece a wash. So I gave it a wash with a flesh wash rather than a brown wash, because I think the flesh wash would just work better with the red colour rather than the brown. So I washed all over the piece, and of course that gave a little bit more depth and detail to all the patches that are already painted. It also gave some more depth and weathering to the red pieces, and half covered some of the wood material as well, or at least sort of made it all look unified and together. So that's what I did, and I'm really happy how it came out actually. I mean, it's still red obviously, but there's a lot more detail to it now, and no matter sort of where you look, there is something more interesting to look at than just a red building. So I was really happy how it all came together. That final wash really did help bring it all together, and whilst it's not like the best paint job in the world, it's very rough and ready, but then it's orcs, so it can be. But I think it's definitely an improvement, adds a little bit more detail when you're looking at it, and hopefully will look pretty cool on the battlefield. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss an upload. In the meantime, here are some other videos which YouTube think you would enjoy from my channel, and here's a playlist featuring all of my battle reports, including some test games for this upcoming event.